all aboard. Ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling, clang, clang. Chugga, chugga, choo-choo, woo-woo. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack, here comes the train down the railroad track.
Diesels rolling through the countryside. I've got a ticket to ride home.
It's Diesel Day at the Illinois Railway Museum in Union, Illinois, about 60 miles west of Chicago. The museum has a large collection of steam, electric, and diesel-powered locomotives. Today, a variety of diesels are brought out for visitors to see and hear in action. For anyone who loves trains, real or toy, the Illinois Railway Museum is a great place to visit. You get to see beautiful pieces of railroad equipment up close. Here's a nice-looking Milwaukee Road Model H10-44 diesel built by Fairbanks Morse. This is a GP7 built by General Motors. GP stands for General Purpose. The GP diesels were nicknamed Jeeps. Jeeps were very popular and were used by many railroads for hauling freight and yard switching. Here's another Jeep. This one is pulling a flat car and a crane car. This blue switcher is a Model S1 built by the American Locomotive Company, or ALCO for short. The gray switcher is an SW1 built by General Motors. General Motors locomotives were built in their electromotive division, which was located in LaGrange, Illinois. Here's a General Motors SW7 switcher just painted in Burlington colors. These little switchers aren't as powerful as their big brothers, but they help by moving just one or two cars around in the yards. The Army switcher is a 45-ton model built by General Electric. The small orange switcher is about the same length as an average automobile. We like where it's from, too. Now let's look at a few big diesels. This is a Wisconsin Central SD45. SD stands for Special Duty. Pay attention to the sign on the side. Here comes one of the best-selling diesels ever made, the SD40-2. Railroads loved their power and reliability. General Motors built almost 4,000 SD40-2s between 1972 and 1989. The green and black Burlington Northern locomotive, lashed up to the SD40-2, is a General Electric U30C. One of the most beautiful trains ever made is the Nebraska Zephyr. The Nebraska Zephyr is headed by an E5 model locomotive. The streamlined passenger cars are articulated, which means a single set of trucks is used to support the ends of two cars. The front of the E5 has a distinctive character with two big windows in the cab and a sloping nose and bright headlight in the center. An E-unit locomotive has 6 wheel trucks, and an F-unit has 4 wheel trucks. The Illinois Railway Museum has many E and F units. This is a Burlington Northern F9, which has an A and B locomotive. A locomotives have a cab for the engineer and crew to sit in and control the train. A B locomotive doesn't have a cab and is controlled by the crew in the A locomotive. The B locomotive provides more power to pull longer trains. The F7 came before the F9. This is a Chicago and Northwestern F7. The F7s had less horsepower than the F9, but they looked the same. The F7 was a modified version of the F3. The F3 happens to be the favorite diesel of my old pal Vinny. Take it away, Vinny. And the Illinois Railway Museum, where we'll see big steamers, a shay, a streetcar, and take a ride on a passenger train.
Round and round, down to town, coming down the track. Puff and puff, can't get enough, it echoes through my brain. Trains, 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 I am calling all trains. Trains, 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 I am calling all trains. Trains, 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 I am calling all trains. Trains, 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 I am calling all trains.
Today we're at the Illinois Railway Museum in Union, Illinois. The weather is nice, the sun is out, and so are the museum's spectacular steam engines. The first steam locomotive is the museum's most famous engine, the Frisco 1630. The 1630 was built in 1918 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works and was originally built for Russia but was sold to the Frisco instead. There, it was used in both freight and passenger service until the 1950s. The Frisco's final home was with the Eagle Pitcher Mining Company, where it hauled freight until the mid-1960s. It is called a decapod, meaning it's a 2-10-0 wheel configuration. 2 wheels at the front, 10 drive wheels in the middle, and no wheels at the back. It was built to travel at low speeds and pull heavy loads. In 1967, the engine was sold to the Illinois Railway Museum, where they began restoring it back to operating condition. Sometime after arriving at the museum, the locomotive was restored from her Eagle Pitcher Mining Company appearance to its Frisco appearance, and it's been running at the museum ever since. The Illinois Railway Museum's 3-truck Shay locomotive was built in Lima, Ohio in 1929 for the J. Neal's Lumber Company. It has been at the Illinois Railway Museum since 1968 and was the first steam engine to operate at the museum. The name for the Shay was the Sidewinder. because the vertical cylinders and drive shaft were on the right side of the locomotive. The Shay had a short wheelbase and flexible trucks and looked very different from the steamers with their big driving wheels. Shays were slow and steady. Their maximum speed was 18 miles per hour. Unlike Shay used gear drivers and delivered equal power to all their small wheels at the same time, and each truck was independent of the other truck, so it could operate on almost any kind of track. Powerful and steady, the Shay locomotive was a workhorse and carried heavy loads of lumber and mining cars filled with ore over rugged and steep tracks. There are approximately 85 Shays left today, and most are in railroad museums throughout the United States. They were an important part of railroading history and worth a visit to the Illinois Railway Museum to see a mighty Shay in action. Museum is home to streetcar number 3142. Streetcars were powered by an onboard electric motor and used a trolley pole that drew power from an overhead electrical cable. Streetcars were eventually phased out because people started driving automobiles and the streets became so crowded that streetcars weren't making their schedules on time. But in some big cities, modern streetcars are making a comeback and are called Restored 3142 streetcar is preserving an important part of railroading history and hopefully inspiring the return of the streetcar's convenient mass transit system.
What's up? My name's Mason and I love toy trains.
First, we visit the Illinois Railway Museum and see how a big, full-size steam locomotive works. We'll also ride in the cab of a big diesel. We'll jump across.
I love big trains, the way they travel down the track with the smoke coming out the stack. I love big trains, as they travel down the track with the smoke coming out the stack. I love big trains in the deep white winter snow when the summer breezes blow. People think that I'm insane, cause I'll even go out in the rain. I love big trains, big trains.
We're at the Illinois Railway Museum in Union, Illinois. Toy trains are nice, but nothing beats the real thing. And Union is definitely filled with the real thing. Like this 1630 Frisco 210O. 210O refers to the wheel arrangement. 2 wheels up front, 10 big drivers in the middle, and no wheels in the back. That's how we get 210O. 210Os are called decapods. Don't ask me why. A steam locomotive needs at least 2 people to operate it, an engineer and a fireman. The engineer runs the locomotive. He works the throttle, applies the brakes, and blows the whistle. The fireman is not like the fireman who puts out fires. This fireman starts fires. But don't worry, he starts fires inside the boiler. The fireman has 3 main responsibilities: keep water in the boiler, keep the fire burning in the firebox, and keep the steam pressure up. A steam locomotive is a machine made up of a firebox, cylinders, pistons, connecting rods, and wheels. The heat generated by burning coal or wood in the firebox boils the water and creates steam. This action makes the big drivers turn and the big train move. Fascinating, isn't it? The Illinois Railway Museum also has a shay. Most steam locomotives get their power from the horizontal action of the drive rods. The shay is different. The shay gets its power from the vertical action of the drive rods. Shays were designed to haul heavy loads of coal and lumber up steep grades and around sharp turns. Today, this shay has an easy job of pulling 3 old cabooses on the level terrain. The Illinois Railway Museum has lots of different equipment. Old streetcars and trolleys that ride on rails. And old streetcars that run right on the street. Both get their power from an overhead catenary system. Here is a very old box cab electric. It needs some restoration. Union also has a nice mix of diesel locomotives. This is the museum's most popular train, the shiny Nebraska Zephyr. This sleek streamliner is headed by an E5 diesel. E units were built by General Motors Electromotive Division. They have 6-wheel trucks. The passenger cars have rib sides and articulated trucks. That means one truck supports 2 car ends. These cars cannot be uncoupled the way other cars can be. The cars and engine pulls is called its consist. This light that is moving around is called a Mars light. It moves around to get people's attention, so they notice the train coming. The observation car has a red Mars light. On an old passenger train, the observation car is the best seat in the house. The seats are very comfortable, and you get a great view of the landscape passing by. Have you ever wanted to ride in the cab of a diesel? It's a beautiful day, so let's go. We're in Metra number 308, an EMD F7. We're going to make a run on the Illinois Railway Museum's main line. When a diesel gets up to speed, it's common for it to rock from side to side. You sit high in the cab, and it's a great view. On a day like today, you can open the cab windows and enjoy the breeze.
Down the line, rain or shine, traveling both day and night. The sound of the tracks past the hobo shacks, billboards and neon lights. New York to LA, almost every day, along this country I roam. The cabin sways along the railways, and I always feel right at home. This is more than a train to me, there's no other place I'd rather be. Some people might think it's just metal and chrome, but to me it's a home sweet home. To me it's a home sweet home. Down the line, rain or shine, traveling both day and night. The sound of the tracks past the hobo shacks, billboards and neon lights. New York to LA, almost every day, along this country I roam. The cabin sways along the railways, and I always feel right at home. This is more than a train to me, there's no other place I'd rather be. To me it's a home sweet home. This is more than a train to me, there's no other place I'd rather be. Fixing those railroad cars, I'm working hard, just working in the railway yard. I'm working hard, just working in the railway yard. I tell everyone the pay ain't much and the work is mighty hard. They say, Joe, why don't you quit working in the railway yard? But headed down the line, I feel a chill run down my spine. There's no denying it, I love big trains. When I see the big engine headed down the track, I get all excited and that's a fact. There's no denying it, I love big trains. Train, when I know there's something big headed down the line, I feel a chill running down my spine. There's no denying it, I love big trains. There's no denying it, I love big trains. There's no denying it, I love big trains.